everybody choosing a sperm donor is going to have very different criteria. Some of you, it's important their medical history. Some of you, it's important how they look. Some of you, it's important where they live. Some of you, it's important their age, or their values, or their interests, or their skills, or their hobbies. Everybody's got different things that are important. You really have to feel into what's important for you. But I'm just going to share with you what's important for me so that you can know why I chose my particular sperm donor that went into making this beautiful little angel baby star. Do you want to tell them about it? Hi, I'm TJ, this is Baby Star, and if you're new to our channel, welcome. We make videos for all of you out there who have a baby dream, especially if you're on some sort of fertility journey. So for me, my most important criteria was the man's personality and values. It was not as important to me things like how he looked. And that's because mine is an open ID donor, which means my child is going to meet this man if they want to when they're 18. So it was really important for me that this was going to be a very welcoming, warm, friendly, caring man. In case my child ever rang them up in 18 years, hi, I'm calling you from Australia, I'm your genetic descendant. Like, how's that person going to react? That was the thing that most worried me. What's this person going to be like if my child ever contacts them? That was more important to me than things like, are they going to inherit these skills or talents or this intelligence? I wasn't focusing on what my child was going to inherit. I was focusing on what sort of experience my child might have if they ever meet this person. And I wanted to hopefully choose a man who was a little bit similar to me so that if my child did fly across the world to America to meet them one day, they wouldn't get too much of a shock because the guy wouldn't be that different from someone like me that they've spent their whole life growing up with, so that hopefully the man would feel a little bit familiar to them. I didn't want to pick someone with completely alien values that my child's not going to get along with because they've been raised in this really sort of spiritual, conscious, open-minded environment here in Australia, and then they go and meet a really conservative person that just has totally different cultural, political values. That would be really, really challenging. So I tried to pick someone a little bit similar to me in their values, in their personality, in their lifestyle, things like that. Now, my child may never end up contacting this donor and none of this may be relevant, but I needed to have this in place just in case they do. So the specific donor I chose really fit that criteria. He was very warm, very friendly, very empathetic, very open-minded. He loves people. He also loves to travel. And I thought, he's probably going to be pretty comfortable if an 18-year-old kid from Australia contacts him one day. So that was really, really important to me. So one of his most important values is helping people. And I thought that was absolutely beautiful. That's the sort of person I would want my child to meet in 18 years' time, if they choose to. I also liked the staff report that the Seattle Sperm Bank people wrote about their impressions of him. They said he was very outgoing, very friendly, very kind, very warm, very open. So I really liked that. And also, this was a big factor for me. He has the same personality type as me on the personality test. If my child ever does meet this man, they're probably going to be a little bit similar to their mother. They'll probably feel pretty comfortable with this man. So I really like that. Obviously, nobody knows if personality type is genetic or if it's environmental, but I'm kind of covering both camps. So the next thing that I really took into account was the family medical history and his personal health history. This was really important to me because I don't want to pass on any terrible conditions to my child if I can help it. Obviously, if a child is born with a medical condition, I would love that child. But if I can prevent it in advance, of course I'm going to. So there were no major medical conditions in his family. There were just some minor things like hay fever, things like that. But they're all things that are pretty normal, pretty common, pretty easy to manage. There was nothing really terrible like neurological disorders or heart conditions or things like that. There was no mental illness, there's no cancer. So I was pretty happy with that. If you have any questions at all about any of the stuff I'm sharing about choosing a sperm donor, please ask me in the comments below and I'll answer you with a written reply, or I'll make a video about it. So the next thing that was important to me was the physical characteristics of the donor. If possible, I would have liked the child I had to have similar kind of physical look to me. As it's turned out, she's very similar to me, but that's almost a miracle because the donors really didn't look that much like me that I chose, apart from the coloring. So the donor I chose, he was tall with blonde hair and he had eyes. Might have green eyes. As it's turned out, her eyes are going green. I think the egg donor had blue-green eyes. So she's gone green.
She's gone green. Team green.
The report that the clinic wrote said that he was handsome. That didn't really concern me. But then I thought, well, if I have a son, that would be nice for my son if he inherited that. I could tell from the childhood picture that this man had a very different face shape to me, very different eyes, nose, mouth, so all the features were different. But as I said, I really didn't put looks as a priority. I just felt like as long as the general colouring is similar, that's good enough. The photos that I looked at, the childhood photos, were actually something that were very important to me, because it was actually when I looked at the photos that I got a really intuitive gut feeling of yes or no. And when I saw my donor, when I saw his childhood photo, I just melted. I was like, oh, he's so sweet. He just had this very open, happy, he just looked very honest, very clean cut, very kind. There's just something about him that I just really, really liked. He was probably 5 or 6 years old in the photo, but every time I look at that photo, I just feel pure joy. I have since seen other photos of him that I was given later, but at the time I chose, there was really only this one photo, and I just loved it. The age was also important to me, actually, the age of the donors. They ranged from sort of 20 through to about 35. And it wasn't as important to me as it was with the egg donor. With the egg donor, the age was crucial because I knew the age of the egg was going to affect the embryo and the pregnancy. So with sperm, obviously, you can use sperm up to a much later age. But the age was important to me for a different reason. I was 47 years old at the time I was choosing my sperm donor. So I really wanted to choose a donor that was much younger than me, so that if at age 18, my child chose to meet that man, and if they did form a bond and maybe the man turned out to be a bit of an uncle figure or just someone they could contact over the course of their life that they were related to, that they'd be around for a while, that they'd be around longer than me. So that actually was something I considered. I didn't want to choose a 40-year-old sperm donor or a 35-year-old sperm donor because I was 47. And the guy that I chose was 21 years younger than me, and I thought that was really good. I then obviously looked at things like their interests, their hobbies, their skills. None of that was that important to me because I don't think any of those things are genetic or hereditary. I think most of those things are environmental, whether you're encouraged to go to university or you're offered piano lessons or, you're exposed to cats and dogs, things like that. But they were important to me a little bit because, as I said, I wanted my child, if they did meet them one day, to be able to connect with the man. So if he had similar interests to me or similar values to me, that would probably make it easier for the child to connect with them when they met them later. He did have some things in common with me like that. He loves to learn. I love to learn. He loves to travel. He loves to meet people around the world. So do I. He loves dogs. I love dogs and cats. Right now, you're a cat person, aren't you? You're obsessed with our cat. You're obsessed with him. By the way, if you're on a baby journey, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I make a video every week and I share lots of stuff about what it's like being a single mother, being an older mama, being a new mama. And if you do subscribe, make sure to click the little notifications bell so that YouTube lets you know when I make a video each week. So one of the less important criteria that I looked at but was still a little bit important was the donor's education. Not because I think that's inherited, I don't think it's genetic, but just because everyone in my family has been to university. We're all very educated people, a lot of academic people, and I thought if my child does one day meet this man and he's a little bit academic or intellectual, that may feel familiar to my child. And this donor had a good GPA, he was studying. He was very proud of that. He was obviously very disciplined and hardworking. Yeah, similar to some people in my family. And the final criteria I looked at was his writing style. I just got a feeling from how he wrote, the way he used language. He was very open, he was very free, he was very expressive, and I really liked that. So that's how I chose my sperm donor. Obviously, everybody's going to use different criteria that feels right to them, but that's how I chose mine. I'm going to make another video about how I chose my egg donor. And when I make it, I'll stick it there so that you can watch it. Big love to all of you mamas and all of you future mamas. We're sending you love. We're sending you baby dust. Bye. See ya.